everybody, you got to get in right now. You got to get in InYourHeadOnline.com. It's the Jim Mintena website, baby. You don't want to miss it. We've only got a few left. Pick up the phones right now and dial.
All right, and we're back. Welcome to In Your Head Wrestling Radio. I am the internet icon, handsome Jackie Jones, along with our right-hand man and the enforcer of the Headyverse.
1-inch biceps, the power goat. Bah! How about that, Jack?
I'm very impressed by the bah this evening. And he's probably wondering at this point why he decided to come on here. But we have multiple-time champion, the King of the Mountain, Double J, the Chosen One, the Master of the Slapnuts, and the man behind Global Force Wrestling, Jeff Jarrett.
Hey, guys, I like that intro. Jackie Jones and 1-inch biceps, and you come on with some attitude here. I like it.
Yeah, there's plenty of podcasts out there, but most of them are probably pretty boring. At least people have fun here, and it's exciting.
I like it. No, I couldn't agree more that, you can get stuffy on these podcasts. But no, let's have some fun. Talk some Global Force Wrestling, talk some New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Wrestle Kingdom 9 to be more specific.
Yeah, coming up on pay-per-view January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom 9, New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's presented by Global Force Wrestling. I think I did that all backwards. Global Force Wrestling presents New Japan Pro Wrestling, Wrestle Kingdom 9. Either way works, so. But I'm really looking forward to it. And how did this come about? Was it something that you wanted to do, or was it something New Japan wanted to do to get into North American market?
Well, a little of both. Back in April of 2014, when I announced, the formation of my company and founded Global Force Wrestling, I had already been talking to, the partners around the world and piecing things together. And New Japan approached me and knew that they wanted to bring their product to the North American audience. And so it became real obvious real quick that what better way than to pick their biggest event. This is the 24th year, the annual Tokyo Dome show. They named it Wrestle Kingdom 9 years ago, but it became real obvious that this is the event to really make a splash on the North American scene with the New Japan product. And so we started piecing things together, and quite frankly, we couldn't be happier with where we're at now with, the Bullet Club Red Hot, the Flips app that we can get in to talk about in a little while, Jim Ross not getting on board, Matt Stryker, all the videos and promotional stuff that we put out, the buzz, the excitement, it all just sort of came together, one thing after another, and it is shaped up very nicely, and I'm really, really excited for January 4th.
Yeah. Now, do you think this will primarily attract people who already follow New Japan Pro Wrestling, or people who want to discover it for the first time?
I definitely think there's a huge element of longtime wrestling fans who maybe have heard about it, or maybe they haven't heard about it, but always knew that wrestling took place in other parts of the world, and that when we started putting together the marketing matrix and the promotional videos and of course getting Jim Ross on board, it became very apparent to me, who I consider still a huge wrestling fan, it became really apparent that this is a very broad, massive appeal. It's a show, done. They're on pace right now to sell over 50,000 tickets. Done at a dome, elaborate, very entertaining spectacle of entrances, fantastic in-ring action, familiar faces from AJ Styles on down, and then you've got the Tanahashi and Okada. People may not know those names; they're literally household names in Japan, but they ooze charisma. They've got that it factor, and I tell people, if you've got a favorite rivalry over the years, whether it's Steamboat versus Savage, or Flair versus Steamboat, or Rock and Stone Cold, or Hogan and Andre, whatever your favorite feud of all time is, then you can just sort of relate and translate that to Tanahashi and Okada, because those two guys, long-time rivalry, pretty evenly matched, and when they get in the ring, they go at it, and it's going to be an off-the-charts main event. And when you have a guy like Jim Ross talking about it quite possibly could be the best pay-per-view main event he's ever called, that made me stop in my tracks, and I know it's made others. That takes in a lot of ground. You think about back to the WCW Clash of Champions, to all the WrestleManias and SummerSlams and Monday Night Raws and Royal Rumbles, and all the main events that Jim has called. and this could be the best, that made people, sit up and notice.
Mm-hmm. And not just because you're on here, but something we've actually been talking a lot on the podcast was Jim Ross' involvement, and even just in general, without Jim Ross on wrestling on TV, you've really lost that drama aspect, because nobody is as good as Jim Ross at making like a great match seem legendary, or even making a good match seem like important. No one does it better than Jim Ross.
I agree. And I don't know if you guys have got a chance to see any of the videos that GlobalForceWrestling.com has put out, but I was in the room when they were filming AJ. I believe it was in Osaka. I'm not sure, Sumo Hall or Osaka, but they asked him, about his match and Global Force Wrestling and New Japan working together in Bullet Club, and then they got to him and they said, "Tell me your thoughts on Jim Ross calling your match." And AJ he literally just sort of sat back and then he thought about it, and you could just see his face told a story of 1,000 words. That it just sort of all sunk in, and it sort of maybe it hit him for the first time that he had to really think about it. And the words that came out of his mouth were so telling. He just looked at the producer and said, Finally, JR is going to call one of AJ Styles' match. And that guy, I got goosebumps just watching that. And it's the truth. Jim Ross calling an AJ Styles match, who would have thought that would have ever happened? I certainly didn't see that in the cards, and now he's going to do it. Jim Ross is going to be calling, one of the Young Bucks match. That's going to be good. And then, like you said, the emotion he brings, he'll bring his A+ game, and then Tanahashi and Okada will certainly do the same. That's going to be it's going to be a great main event. Yeah.
You mentioned the documentaries and the videos on GlobalForceWrestling.com, and those are filmed and put together excellent. But when you watch Jim Ross in there, you can tell, which I don't think you would think otherwise, but this means a lot to him too, to be able to call a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. And I also think, I guess we'd have to ask him, but it's almost like I think he kind of has something to prove, that he still is the man at this, and he wants to go out there and prove it again.
Well, and you're right in a lot of ways. He said it on the videos that he didn't think he'd ever get the opportunity to sit behind the microphone on a major event, and now. As a part of the deal, I wasn't going to have it any other way, but, it was a mandate. He had to be ringside at Tokyo. And that, he's going to miss his 63rd birthday, or 60, whatever. He's going to miss his birthday, and he had plans to go to Vegas with his wife and watch the UFC event. But Jim's highly motivated, really, really wants to, get back on that saddle again and do what he does best, because a guy like Jim, you talk about wrestlers who have main event runs, and Hogan had Hulkamania, and then the NWO area. He had a 20+ year main event run, and really, really long runs. Well, Jim, for what he does in the business, a play-by-play guy, he hasn't been just one of the guys. He's been the guy, the voice of this generation's professional wrestling. And in him doing a dome show at this stage of his career, it excites me. It really, really it takes my excitement level to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm. Now, if this is I don't know, how does it differ doing commentary for a show that might be being seen potentially by people for the first time, as compared to like a traditional pay-per-view where the customers would have watched the build-up for each match?
Well, I think there's a couple of pronged approach to this. One being that in our introductory videos, when we launched this campaign some 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, we knew that we wanted to educate the viewer/consumer on just what New Japan is all about. No specific matchups, no specific match of wrestlers, just what is New Japan. And we showed the footage of Flair and Hogan and Andre and Stan Hansen, all these guys that this company's been around for years and years and years. It is a very, very successful operation that's been around 42 years. And so when Matt Stryker and Jim Ross, carry us to this pay-per-view, they're going to give it from a historical perspective. They've also, I've seen the email exchanges and the conversations we've had, let the action speak for itself. It's going to be a very unique event in just that it hasn't been marketed. It's not like you can watch Tanahashi and Okada in tags and six-man tags and different matches leading up to this event. It's a one-night event. It is, winner take all, and the viewer gets to sit down and be entertained. And like Jim said, they're all fresh matchups to him. Well, as a wrestling fan, they're all fresh matchups to me as well and every other wrestling fan. So that in and of itself is very, part of the word, very refreshing.
Definitely. Yes, but especially now, it's no secret you watch wrestling on TV now, and by the time they build up to, I don't know if you even call them pay-per-views anymore, but you've seen the matches, a dozen times by the time you get to the special event. Yeah, and that is, it's a traditional wrestling pay-per-view has never been marketed or promoted this way without a national cable television deal. But with that being said, Floyd Mayweather, the biggest box office attraction in history, you don't see him box, 3 or 4 times a month and then lead up to his big fight. You just know when you tune in that Mayweather's going to give you a hell of a fight, a hell of a show, and everybody's waiting on that Pacquiao. Well, this is another step in that direction in that, we announced the pay-per-view, we announced Jim Ross on board, and the media request has just literally been overwhelming to all of us. And just, we've added an extra PR person in the last last couple of weeks just to handle all the requests. The Flips app, I don't know if you guys have discussed this, on your podcast, but that sort of raised the bar on this distribution level that this event now has become the most widely distributed live wrestling pay-per-view event in the history of our business. I've personally done podcasts in 2 or 3 in Australia, Brazil, Portugal, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Germany, South Africa, and got many more scheduled. So, it is a true global event that in every time zone in the world you can watch this. You can download the Flips app and have your smart TV and watch this event live. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. I was going to ask about, you mentioned, it's going to be live all around the world. And for me here, it's in Intro here, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. Do you think that's a detriment at all? Or do you think it doesn't matter for people who really want to watch a wrestling event? Well, the good thing, and again, the pay-per-view providers have been great to work with, is that, for the people that want to stay up and catch it live, 2 Eastern, 1 Central, 11 Pacific, or whatever time zone, we've made it available. If you can't, you can watch it on your Sunday traditional time slot at 7 Eastern. So it's not a detriment. The people who want to see it and going to watch it live, and the people who want to catch it in the traditional time slot Sunday evening, they just don't need to go read the spoilers, or they can read the spoilers. Who knows? But it's definitely not going to be a detriment. Mm-hmm. Inchman, do you have a question from Facebook?
Yeah, I've got a question from Santo Del Diego. He wants to know, the Wrestle Kingdom shows are normally 5+ hours. He wants to know if you're going to cut them down a bit, or you're just going to keep it its original length.
No, they realize it's a 4-hour window, and that's what the pay-per-view, 10 matches in 4 hours is to me, very healthy. I've seen many 3-hour pay-per-views have 10 matches, and quite frankly, not enough time to breathe. But 10 matches in 4 hours, I think, is the real sweet spot. Mm.
Now, have you competed in the Tokyo Dome yourself as a wrestler?
I was with Kurt Angle several years ago at a Dome show. He wrestled Yuji Nagata, but I didn't actually wrestle. Mm-hmm. I was at ringside.
Yeah. Well, how would you compare just that atmosphere to some other arenas?
Well, the one thing, and I'm blessed that they asked me to wrestle this year. And so, Japanese crowds are very respectful. They're not as rowdy in years past, although that has changed, and I've witnessed it firsthand, the reactions with Bullet Club, that I guess you'd say some of the crowd is becoming more Americanized. But there's different fan bases all around the world. German fans are different than Scotland fans, and Scotland fans are different than Ireland fans, and there's always a little bit of difference in Puerto Rico and Mexico and Australia, everywhere I've wrestled. Japanese fans, they love hard-hitting action. They love the touch of submission, MMA incorporated into the styles. But in Dome with over 50,000 fans and elaborate entrances, I mean, you gotta how much it's electric. The atmosphere will be electric for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Bullet Club, that's huge. I mean, a lot of people here buying the T-shirts. And what was that like for you when you became part of the Bullet Club?
It was great. I mean, their motto is right up my alley: do what you want, when you want, wherever you want. So that's a slap nuts attitude for darn sure. But seriously, those guys approached me when GFW and New Japan solidified their deal. We made it public back in August at the Seibu Dome at the G1 Climax Finals. Those guys came to me a week or so before and said, "Hey, we want you to be a part of the Bullet Club." And I was like, I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of the hottest faction in all of professional wrestling? So it's a good thing.
Yeah. As someone who's been around and then worked with AJ Styles for a long time now, and to see him, in a different promotion and a huge promotion and really just become so successful, what was that like, for someone who's been around him? And do you think that because he had some people who were naysayers about AJ Styles, said, oh, he's only, a big star in one promotion, and for him to take off and do so well there, do you think, he's really proven himself that he is, a legit talented guy?
AJ, phenomenal. He got that, honestly, because his athletic talent is that. He's a phenomenal human being as well. But his ability, when we'll call it the comfort zone, I think it was referred to, that where he's at. When he stepped out of that, he knew the pressure was on. He knew that he wanted to thrive, and he stepped right into New Japan Pro Wrestling, won the championship, and arguably he's coming off his best year of his career. And that takes in a lot of good matches. So, I saw AJ Saturday night up in Rahway, New Jersey, and he is really, really focused for his match against Naito. I think it's one of the top 3 matches that I'm certainly going to be really dialed into. And AJ, he's had a great year, and really, I can't say enough how excited he is about January 4th.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask about Matt Striker, too, because I think he's kind of a polarizing guy. There's a lot of people who really love Matt Striker's work, and then there's some people who are really negative against it. What was the idea of matching him up with Jim Ross? How do you think they will, work together?
I think fantastic. They've worked together a little bit in the past, but most importantly, when we knew we had to get a partner for JR, there was really 2 prerequisites. One, he had to complement JR. He had to, I'll say, when it's time to get out of the way, get out of the way. But when it's time to step up, step up. And when I'm talking about step up, we needed a guy, had to have a guy that knew much more than just the 10 matches he's going to be calling, the history of New Japan. And, New Japan came about because Ricky Dozan's 2 proteges, Giant Baba and Antonio Inoki, had a fallen out, and they wanted to start their own companies. And New Japan was born, All Japan was born, and New Japan's been around 42 years, and they've had dome shows and the great runs of 90s with Muda and Chono and Hashimoto and the Steiner brothers and all the talent that's gone through there. It's a very very, very rich history in professional wrestling with New Japan.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you watch any Lucha Underground, but I think he's done a tremendous job on there, and I think he's improved a lot from the times when he was in WWE.
Yeah, I do. I watch it all. I watch. Again, I'm still the world's biggest wrestling fan, so I watch it. I've worked with the Roldan family for many, many years in Mexico with AAA, and they're one of our promotional partners. So, yeah, I absolutely watch it. And Matt does a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm. And I'm actually glad you said that you watch it, because there are some times, I don't know if, I always think maybe you can comment on this. Is it kind of a thing among some wrestlers to say that they don't watch wrestling? Because I'll hear a lot of people say they don't watch wrestling, but then they'll say, oh, but I flipped it around, and it seems like they'll know everything that happens. And I'm thinking, how much you flip around just to know every angle and every wrestler?
Oh, that's, being around this business as long as I've heard that many, many times. Yeah, I don't watch it, but I was flipping through the channels
Yes.
With the remote control and 40, 50, or more than that,
Yeah,
100 channels,
yeah.
how do you magically flip by? No, you key in each digital number, so that's all right.
Yeah. Now, Global Force Wrestling itself, are the plans to do more of these type of shows where you would present, different wrestling from around the world, or will you guys have your own roster and it'll be more of a traditional wrestling program?
The answer is both. In 2015, we will continue the rollout of Global Force Wrestling, but I'm talking with several international companies about bringing their product to North America. We are in the process, and there was a press conference yesterday in South Africa that we've got big plans down there in 2015, and then the standalone company that with talent and sponsorship and venue and distribution and everything that goes together. That rollout will continue in 2015 as well.
Mm-hmm. Since you've been doing the tours on like the independent scene, have you seen a lot of guys that you would like to bring into Global Force?
Absolutely. I've said it dating back to February this year that I believe the professional wrestling business is just on the cusp of a boom period, and I think a big component of that is that wrestling is healthy, and wrestling's healthy because the free agent market. I don't like to refer to it as the indie wrestlers. I like to call it, they may be independent promotions, but I like to call them free agents. And I believe the free agent market is red hot. I'm sitting in my office right now, and there's a whiteboard, and there are 64 names, and 48 of them are guys on it. 48 guys who've never worked for a major company with worldwide distribution. The independent scene is red hot, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And as someone who's, who wrestled in the territories and has wrestled in pretty much all the major promotions of, the modern era, do you think, I don't know, if this you'll feel like you're trying to put your own self over, but do you feel like you know what it takes, when you see a guy like this guy has what it takes to make it on, a national level?
Well, I figured out a long time ago, me and a bunch of other promoters don't know a thing. But the wrestling fan base certainly does. And all you have to do is listen. Listen to key indicators, listen to the feedback, listen to the people, look at and see who's selling merchandise, see who people gravitate toward, see what kind of reactions people get. Listen, there's a mentality that I believe to be a successful promoter is that you really got to be in tune with your fan base and listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, Jim Ross, you said this, one-time deal for him at the moment. Do you think there's a chance that, if this goes well and if he enjoys himself and all those things evolve, that potentially he could work on more shows in the future?
I mean, I believe, and we've agreed to agree that let's focus on January 4th.
Yeah.
And really focus on that. But if it's successful and he had a good time and we had a good time and it's a win-win for everybody, I think we all recognize real quick that we would go back to the table and see what's next for us. So I'm excited about the future. I think Jim is as well. And you just don't get anybody better than Jim Ross.
Mm-hmm. I think, too, even if this would happen to be his last show that he ever did, that would make that even more special for people to get. Like, this is Jim Ross's, final pro wrestling commentary. I mean, you couldn't get much cooler than that.
Yeah, and I think Jim, he did say it in one of his videos. He doesn't know. He doesn't know if it's his last event. There's no way to know that. Can't predict the future. I know we've got things in the works. And if Jim's happy to be a part of it, obviously we'd love to have it. But we're going to cross that bridge after January 4th.
Yeah. Inchman, anything else from the Facebook page?
Actually, I had a question of my own. I just have to know the answer to this. What do you think about TNA going to Destination America?
Thank the Lord that they got a deal. There was a couple of months there that I didn't know, and certainly anybody else didn't know, and there was, reports online, and I don't think it would have been good for the industry whatsoever. Remove the fact that I'm still a minority owner. I just, the wrestling business It's my passion, and I want everyone to succeed, and I think there's plenty of room. So, you've got ROH from the syndication market, and they're just entering into the pay-per-view world. You have TNA with Destination America. You've got New Japan coming on Axis. You've got El Rey with Lucha Underground. You've got Global Force. We're going to continue our rollout. And with all that being said, WWE still probably has, pick a number, 75, 80, 85, 90% of the market share. And so other promotions need to be healthy.
Mm-hmm. Now, you want to work with other international promotions. Would you be interested in working with any promotions in the United States?
Sure. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, with our digital space and online presence, we push people and help promote and encourage them to buy the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So I think it's healthy for the industry. I know over the last 10, 15, 20 years, promotions, if they talk about other promotions, most of the time it wasn't in a real good light. At Global Force, we've got a 180-degree different philosophy in that, not only are we going to talk about other promotions, but quite candidly promote them and hope that they stay healthy and get healthier.
Mm-hmm. No, was there any talks to have Dave Meltzer do the commentary? Because I know it's something they've been talking a lot about on his website, F4W.
Yeah, I mean, Dave. We had discussions with Dave. We had discussions with MMA announcers, with boxing announcers. There's probably 6 or 7 that were in the running. Dave, in my opinion, is the most knowledgeable human being who lives outside of Japan on the New Japan product. So that catapulted him way up there. But at the end of the day, I think Matt just has more seasoned television experience. And so, I think that and him and JR's relationship looks to be a great tag team.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to watching the show. I'm going to watch it live, and it's going to be cool to see to hear Jim Ross again, and to see the guys I know, and a lot of these guys are people I have not seen before. So all of that together really works. And to me, having it in English commentary, even if it wasn't Jim Ross, is always a plus. But having Jim Ross there, then it really puts it over the top.
I love it. I couldn't agree more. And 1 inch, are you going to be watching it live or in the traditional slot?
January 4th is my birthday, and I want to start it out by watching Global Force Wrestling. Live.
There you go.
I did not realize that. I feel terrible. I've known you for about 12 years now, and I didn't know January 4th was your birthday.
34 years old.
Well, we'll have birthday.
Well, now you do, and so what I think, Jackie, for a birthday present, you need to splurge for the small little price of $35 for it.
No, there you go. There you go. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll find. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll buy him a nice beverage to drink while he's watching.
I think that's probably more appropriate.
Yes. Well, we want to thank you for coming on. It's been a great time talking to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate this, guys. I appreciate the continued promotion. All of us are in this business one way or another connected, whether you're making a living out of it or you're a fan of it. And Global Force, we're trying to connect the fan bases, and January 4th is sort of our stepping out launch party, and we are super excited with everything going on. And again, thank you guys for promoting, and look for a great show on the 4th.
Excellent. And hopefully we get to talk to you again sometime.
Yep, we'll reconnect in 2015 and continue talking Global Force.
Excellent. Thank you. And happy holidays.
Yep, happy holidays to you guys as well. And January 4th, don't miss it.
Excellent.
You're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com, and it's that busy to the Jizzy, the D-O-double Jizzy, B.G. James. Listen, get it, got it, good.